Command, I got eyes on the target.
¿Qué onda, carnal? ¿Qué pasa? Mira que tengo. Los gringos ni saben a ver qué les cayó.
Two brothers. Sounds like they're talking about moving product.
¿Y usted madre va a arrasar con el mercado allá en los Estados?
To the United States?
Esta chingadera que era de lujo, güey.
Command, I think these are the guys requesting immediate action.
Affirmative.
Freeze! Are you Jose Cuervo? Who are you? Are you with Taco Bell? Del Taco?
What?
Who sent you, huh? The competition?
You guys are drug lords, moving shipment?
Drugs? What's your problem, fool? Este pichiringo piensa que estamos creating drugos. You got an issue with authentic Mexican food?
Wait, so you guys aren't moving heroin?
You think drugs, Holmes? You see my grandma's taco recipe. We're bringing our taco truck to the States.
Command, I think we got the wrong guy.
You gringos are off the chain, man.
POV, you have a slightly different opinion than I do. The Colt 635 was Colt's answer to the growing and popular submachine gun market of the mid-80s. The Colt 635 was Colt's first submachine gun. Now, previously, in the late 50s, early 60s, Special Forces and Navy SEALs had experimented and played around with the Colt Model 607, which was the first carbine variant. This was called the submachine gun, although it wasn't really an SMG because it fired 5.56 still. It was one of those short little like 10 or 10.5 inch barrel ARs with an adjustable stock on it, which was essentially just a shortened down M16A1 stock and locked up on the back. But that's not important. Although they called it a submachine gun, I believe they also called some of the XM177s SMGs as well, but these weren't really submachine guns even by the day's definition.
2 Alphas, 1 Charlie.
They wouldn't produce their first submachine gun until around 1984. Law enforcement had the MP5 and the MP5 SD. Special Forces, we just did a video on the SAS using the MP5. So the early 80s was peak MP5 aesthetics. I mean, how can you hate the absolute vibes of this gun? So Colt decided to jump in the market with their Colt 635. And this gun was essentially a gas blowback, closed bolt little submachine gun. They had experimented early on with like an open bolt system, but it didn't really work. They used some heavy buffers and even a hydraulic buffer at one point. But essentially it would take a normal AR-15 lower and you would put a mag block in it that would accept Uzi, modified Uzi mags, Colt mags, so that they would lock back. These magazines held 29 plus 3.
Two Alphas, 1 Charlie.
And that's pretty much the Colt 635. It's not that interesting. It's just a blowback gun. But it would spawn some kind of interesting sub-variants such as the DOE 633 carbine, which Palmetto makes or H&R. Palmetto, same thing. They make a clone of that now. You've seen that floating around. And of course, the Colt 635 SD. Essentially, this is a mock-up of that weapon. Not a true integrally suppressed gun. We will talk about what this gun is here in a minute, but the true 635 SD was a collaborative effort between Colt and Knight's Armament to produce a integrally suppressed submachine gun for use with the DEA, specifically the clandestine laboratory enforcement team. So these guys were tasked with going into meth labs. You know, you've played GTA, you've got your cocaine lockup, your meth lab, your weed farm. These guys would come knock on your door and raid your lab on GTA Online in real life. They requested a gun like this. I guess they were too poor to get the MP5 SD, so they said, hey Colt, give us the next best thing. And this is what they ended up getting. So the real one would have had a, I believe it was a 5-inch, it's like a 5 and some change. Checks notes. So under here, the real one would have had a, I think it was a 6-inch barrel. It was ported so that it would make normal ammunition a little more closer to subsonic, and then it would have had a suppressor that extended, you know, the entire length under these modified A2 handguards, and it would end here, and you would have a integrally suppressed, pretty quiet gun.
Sounds like a nail gun. Or rather, the target sounds a lot louder than the gun.
There's a rumor out there that the DEA had requested this because you're going into a meth lab, there could be fumes, toxic gases, you know, there's a lot of science going on.
Yes, science!
So they didn't want to make the muzzle flash and the sparks ignite. but that's just really a rumor. I don't really know if that's like there's any like hardcore evidence of that. But either way, you know, you probably want a quiet gun to, you know, you're in a house, you're in a neighborhood, maybe potentially, you know, these meth labs or whatever could be, you know, your neighbor's house and you wouldn't even know. So having a quieter gun that you're going in and, you know, shooting people with is a little more ideal. That's pretty much a 635 SD. There was very few of them actually made. I think it was like 20 to 30 of them, maybe more than that, maybe 50. But if you're a cloner, like a lot of you guys are, how do you get your hands on one? Well, there's pretty much only two ways to do it. Shelton Precision and what we have here, which is Retro Arms. Now, before we get into the actual specifics of this, we got to thank the sponsor for this video. So KORE sent out their battle belt. So what we got here is the two-piece system. So you got an inner belt with the Velcro, and then you got the exterior with the rough Velcro. You know, when you get this, you have to size it to yourself using the provided measuring tape. They don't want you to use like your own. And you want to make sure you're lining up the track here. I think they call it the reinforced power core, which sounds like something from Halo. It is adjustable in like 1/4 inch increments. So we're going to cut this real quick. I hope these scissors are sharp enough. That reinforced power core is really doing its job. All right, so we got our belt and we're going, oh God. So you really want to double check and read when you are doing this, because I made a huge error and cut the wrong end. We're having a learning moment right now because we completely screwed this up. But we cut the wrong side completely. You're supposed to have this, so like in an ideal world, this is all together, right? Yeah, this end is supposed to be the side that's going this way. And then you go over here and then you cut like right here, you know, and then good to go. So there's no way to attach it, so we got a Ranger band on here. Talking about the buckle a little bit, it's secured with 2 screws and a patented spring system to lock up. And then there's a nice little tab that you can release to release that buckle. So again, thank you to KORE for this whole thing. And I'm sorry that I ruined your belt. So once you get your battle belt set up, you might want to load some mag pouches on there and use some Checkmate magazines. They're also sponsoring the video. They're part of Checkmate Industries, which is the leading manufacturer of OEM handgun magazines in the country. They have a 100% lifetime guarantee, and they're made in the USA, so they are good, high quality magazines for your 1911, M14, 2011, 92FS, Desert Eagle, Shield, and a few others. So if you're interested in checking out some good, high quality American made magazines, go check out Checkmate. And thanks guys for sponsoring the video. So what is this semi-clone here? Well, I reached out, actually I met Anthony of Retro Arms over at SHOT Show on the B channel. We have a good little interview. We talk a little bit about some of the stuff, including this upper and then the IAR uppers that he makes. The like Colt, what do they call it? I did a video with Red Right Hand's version of it, Colt LMG, that's what I'm looking for. But I saw this and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. Is that a real 635 SD? And he was like, no, it's not. It's actually just a fake sort of clone that you can kind of get that is not suppressed. You know, as you can see in the video, it's loud and proud. So sadly, there's not a suppressor under here. Now, if you are looking for somebody who actually does an integrally suppressed with a ported barrel and everything, that's what Shelton Precision is for. That's also if you want to spend, you know, 2 mortgage payments on a gun. When, you know, for me personally, if I'm going to spend that much money, I'll probably go with an MP5 SD before I do something like this. There's an Instagram account out there, Beach Ballistics. He has a legitimate clone from Shelton Precision, and that thing is pretty sick. I mean, it's a cool gun to have, sure, but, you know, I don't think that that's really realistic for most people. You know, $3K on a gun is pretty, it's a pretty hard thing to sell. I'd rather get like a Scar or something. I don't know. There's a lot of things I'd rather get for $3,000 that aren't even gun related. But if you're looking for a more affordable option, Anthony over at Retro Arms is producing this. Now, as far as our relationship goes, he just sent me the upper and I have to send it back. And then he sent me the mag block and 2 magazines. And then he paid for ammo for me. So, you know, that's the extent of our relationship. So I'm not trying to sell anything for him, but I am trying to help. You know, he's a small business. So it's like, hey, I kind of want to help out where I can. You know what I mean? Because I like the small business guys. Hammy, Red Right Hand, Retro, small businesses, they love me, all right? And I love them. Imagine you're asleep and there's a sleep paralysis demon, but it's really just Lucas Backing. He's just like, if you suck, you suck. He's like trying to sell you a Garmin. He's telling you need a U-Haul to go to the flat range. The upper is a 12.5-inch barrel. The barrel ends, you know, right here. And it's got some modified A2 handguards. It's got a A1 style of upper, kind of a slick side with the, you know, SMG style brass deflector. The optic is just an Aimpoint 7000 I threw up. And then the lower is mine that you've seen on a billion different guns. We are using the Delta Team Tactical FRT here just to put the gun through its paces and whatnot. As far as what the internals go, you got your Uzi magazines here that are made by, let's see, Metal Form magazines. And then of course you got your mag block as well. So this mag block, as you can see, sits inside the weapon. And then the magazines are then accepted, and then the gun actually will lock back. See if we can get this. So the gun will lock back with that mag block in there, and then you can, the manual of arms and everything doesn't change at all. So that's really nice. And essentially there's just a little screw in here after you insert that mag block. There's a screw in here, you just tighten it down and then it holds it in place. Now when I was rocking this thing on full semi-automatic on the FRT mode, it did walk out and I did lose the screw that goes under here. So I didn't tighten it down hard enough. So be warned, if you have one of these, make sure you tighten that thing down, otherwise you're gonna lose it like I did. Now, how does it compare to an MP5? Well, I have an MP5 here as well. Well, again, a fake, right? It's all fake on this channel. It's all fake guns. It's all poor people guns. But we have a Mac 5 here, which is, made on the old H&K tooling out of Turkey. And these are kind of newer to the market within the last year or so. And the MP5 is a roller-delayed blowback system, which needs no introduction. There's been like a gazillion videos on how that system already works. So understand that the recoil is going to be significantly less on this versus the gas blowback. The gas blowback pistols could sometimes have more harsh recoil than a well-tuned 5.56. In fact, that is pretty much the case because the direct blowback system is just, it's not as good. You know, you're just relying on the mass of the bolt and the pressures to kind of move everything. It's kind of a caveman system, really, whereas the roller-delayed blowback is the classic German engineering that we all have loved since the early 1930s. Now, if I was a law enforcement agent back in the day, what would I rather have? A Colt, 635 SD or an MP5 SD? It's gonna be the MP5 SD. This isn't an SD, by the way. This is just a normal one. I wish that's kind of a dream gun for me, is a full auto MP5 SD would be like a dream gun for me. If you guys like and subscribe, maybe that'll be a dream for me someday. If you go to the Patreon, perhaps I can afford a MP5 SD. But for me, I think the MP5 has unmatched aesthetics as opposed to the 635. This gun, the 635 SD, is often referred to as the uncircumcised version of the CAR-15 or M16. And I tend to agree with that. When you have a traditional M16 where the handguards end where they're supposed to back here, and then there's just barrel. Here you have the uncut gem that just continues all the way. And quite frankly, I think the gun, it's growing on me, but I think it's kind of ugly. And that's a real shame because it is a kind of a cool meme, but it's kind of growing on me. There's a certain charm to it, but I think that it also just looks so weird to me. I just can't get down with it that much. I can only love it so much. Now, as far as retro arms goes, basically it's just a passion project between a couple of guys. And Anthony kind of owns a family business as well. It's basically like, the way I understand it is, imagine you're a baker and you have a bakery and you sell cakes, pies, bagels, donuts, muffins, everything, right? And then you go, hey, I have a passion for just donuts. So let me go make a separate business that's just donuts. That is kind of how Anthony and Retro Arms works. So he owns another company, and that company produces all kinds of OEM parts for various manufacturers out there. And I don't know if I'm at liberty to say what contracts he has and what doesn't, but he does make legitimate parts that aren't just retro things. And essentially he's pulling from his real business and putting it to a side hobby. So the handguards, for example, are to spec for Colt because he has the ability and the contracts to be able to make these handguards. So handguards are legit. The uppers, all that stuff is very close to spec. The mag block is the same as it would have been back in the 80s because he has all the right tooling, and it's like he is making the Colt parts. So it's all legit stuff. So it has a good feel to it. The handguards have a good look and aesthetic to them. They don't feel like some of the cheap ones you might get on like what's that company that uses illegal immigration? I forget what they're called, but they actually, the handguards themselves actually feel really good. So you're getting from what it appears, I don't have a ton of rounds through this gun. I don't have a ton of ammunition, but it appears to be a high quality product. I haven't had any malfunction or anything with it. So hey, I'm a happy customer and I didn't even buy the gun, but what can I say? Hey, I appreciate you guys stopping by, checking out the video. Nothing too crazy, but hey, I just wanted to have a little fun with a little retro 635-esque clone. So thanks for sticking around, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.